come over here. Check out my new shoes. They're the brand new
1, 2, buckle my shoe. 3, 4, buckle some more. 5, 6, Nike kicks.
Ooh, that is so fire!
Good morning, sweet world, and welcome to the No Dunks podcast on the Athletic Network. It's Tuesday, May 30th, 2023, the final day of May. I'm J.E. Skeets here in the Classic Factory, and alongside me, as always, that's Tass Mellis.
As they say, not anything is possible!
Next to him, it's the bearded one, my top shot hot boy, Trey Kirby.
Heyo!
Heyo! And last but not least, over yonder, it's the apprentice, it's Eshua Kid.
How y'all doing?
The better question is, how are you doing, Celtics fan? Big old sigh.
Yeah, that's all I got for you, man.
Well, we'll unpack that sigh, don't you worry. Shout out to the stream team joining us live right now on YouTube. Go get your No Dunks merch over at nodunks.com. While you're over there, check out the Is This Good shirt from breakingtea.com as well. That's what Tass has on. No, he's got a
You got to go
Dead
to a
and Company.
Dead Company show for
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, I gotta say, the Grateful Dead shirt trumps this shirt.
Oh, they're both great shirts.
They're both. Yeah, well,
Jesus.
look at it. It's got flowers on it.
Got lots of flowers.
On today's show, we're going to discuss the 76ers going with Nick Nurse as their head coach, the NBA investigating a ref's burner Twitter account, and Scottie Pippen, is fed up. Scottie Pippen, I said.
Scottie Pippen.
But first, Pearl Jam. No, just kidding. The Cinderella run continues. Jimmy freaking Butler. I can't talk this morning. Jimmy Butler scored 28 points. Caleb Martin had 26 points and 10 boards to help the 8th-seeded Heat beat Boston 103-84 in Game 7 last night. They advanced to the finals for the second time in 4 seasons. The Celtics tried to come back from that 3-0 deficit. They did. They forced Game 7. They had home court advantage, and it didn't matter. 151-0 stands the record once you go up 3-0 in a series. But Miami taking control, especially in the second half, Tess.
Isn't it 150 and 0? I can't.
151 now.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I thought it was 149 coming into this one.
No.
Well, I guess 149 coming into the Nuggets series.
That's
You're
right.
right. It seems to escalate every single time. Anyway, twice in this series shows you can't win 4 games in a row. Happened twice to both teams. That doesn't happen too often. It is tough. The Celtics were not the tougher team in this game. Although I know we're going to talk about Jason Tatum's ankle, it just didn't feel like they were doing enough to win this game defensively. I was astonished by the lack of fighting over screens in this game, allowing the Heat shooters to get into each and every one of their shots. I know they wanted to take away the lane from Jimmy and Bam. And then Jimmy just said, okay, you're giving me the threes, I'll shoot those. Hit 3 himself, and obviously Caleb Martin, a scorcher with 4 threes, and we'll get to him not winning the Eastern Conference Finals MVP that people care about all of a sudden. This is a thing in the NBA. What? Is this baseball? It's weird. Anyway, it was a strange start to this game with Jason Tatum getting hurt on the very, very first play. And it was strange to see the Celtics go up 5-0. And then they go up 9-4, and I think Joe Mazzulla, a guy who gets a lot of ridicule for not calling timeouts, called too many timeouts. They're up 9-4, just let this thing roll. They go to a timeout. Eric Spoelstra goes to a zone. Out of that timeout, they get a stop, they get a score, and things change. I think Eric Spoelstra did an incredible job of mixing up the man and zone in this game more so than the first 6 games. It was a lot of zone heavy in the first 6 games, and then this one, they became a lot more unpredictable. The threes just started raining down, and really at the end of it, it's a huge sigh as Esh gave us off the top. The Celtics just were not there in the end, and guys were trying to hit shots. Obviously, that didn't happen, and Jaylen Brown giving the ball away 8 times is pretty damn difficult to overcome when the other team starts hitting shots on you, starts backdoor cutting you. This was a damn blowout in Game 7 in Boston's barn. For that to happen, a lot had to go wrong. A lot did go wrong.
Yeah, like you said, first possession, the guy, your superstar, tweaking his ankle pretty damn bad, to the point where he's grimacing and hobbling immediately. Tatum plays 42 minutes, 14 points, 5 of 13 shooting. He says after the game, I was just a shell of myself. But he needed, because of that, somebody else to step up for him. You brought up Jaylen Brown, who just had a stinker, a dreadful Game 7 for him. Couldn't hit a 3, kept turning the ball over. I mean, you had a roller coaster first quarter from Jaylen Brown. he was turning the ball over. He had like 3 bad turnovers, but then he was the only one like hitting some jumpers, attacking the rim. He got to the line, had a nice little slip screen where he hit a layup. It was good Jalen. It was a lot of bad Jalen, and there was more bad Jalen than good as this game went on. And just nobody being able to hit a 3-point shot, Trey, was once again the story. We said there is no way after Game 7 the Celtics can shoot worse than they did, somehow winning Game 6 in Miami. Technically true, it wasn't worse, but
percentage points better.
It was damn close, them going 9 for 42 in Game 7. Their second worst shooting performance of the season from 3.
9 for 42. Meanwhile, Miami went 14 for 28. They call it a make or miss league for a reason. There's a reason there's so many cliches out there. Anything can happen in a Game 7. You hear that one a lot. Mm-hmm. How about your best player spraining their ankle on the very first play? That's why you don't want to go to a Game 7. It's tough to win 4 straight in the playoffs. Happened twice. That's why these teams were 150-0 coming into this game, because eventually somebody's going to pass back. And then, like you're saying, Jaylen Brown was just doing too much out there. As many turnovers as makes, and most of the turnovers were pretty brutal. Some of the shots were also turnovers.
Yes.
It felt like the Celtics would be getting a little bit of a run together, trying to get some momentum, and then Jaylen Brown would try and take a 15-pointer. It's like, what are you doing? It's only worth 3, even if you shoot it in the first 3 seconds of the shot clock. But Derek White showed up. He was the best Celtic on the court last night, and then he got subbed out for Sam Hauser early in the fourth quarter. Didn't understand that one from Joe. Didn't understand Robert Williams only playing 14 minutes. I guess he was sick on Sunday and Monday, but he was pretty impactful when he was out there. Would have liked to see more from him. But really, there was not a lot of margin for error for the Celtics after they got down 3-0. They were awesome for 3 games. They were average in Game 7. A guy got hurt and they missed threes. That's how you lose by 20.
Yeah, it was weird that like a classic Game 7 usually has that anxious energy to start a game where it's like sloppy and there are these weird turnovers and everybody's missing threes, everybody's a little tight. And then maybe there was even a play early in the game, despite having a great game, Caleb Martin was like on a fast break. It was like a 3-on-1 Heat fast break. They completely botched it. There was the nerves, right, of a Game 7. But Miami ends the quarter up 22-15. And what's wild to me is Boston never got closer than that 7-point margin. I couldn't believe that. You said Derek White had the bit of the takeover in the third quarter. He was great. And there was a stretch where the Heat went cold. They could not hit shots. And I still didn't think the Celtics really capitalized on it. They couldn't take all that much advantage of it, where the stretch where they were missing shots Miami was. And that is wild to me that they just never got closer than 7 points. It's crazy.
Honestly, Caleb Martin kind of slammed the door shut.
He did a couple times.
He had an awesome game last night, but you mentioned that 7-point lead. They got down to a 7-point lead. Caleb Martin hit a 3-pointer with 30 seconds left in the third quarter. Boston went down and scored, and then Martin had that crazy drive where he went baseline, hit a fadeaway, 10-point game there. Miami gets the ball back to start the fourth quarter. Caleb Martin hits a 3.
Yeah.
Suddenly a 7-point lead is a 13-point lead, and the Celtics at that point were having trouble scoring, so it felt like an even bigger lead. That was impressive from Caleb Martin. That was impressive from Miami to go up 3-0, lose 3 straight games, lose Game 6 in a heartbreaker, and then come back and smash them. Incredible stuff.
Yeah, and you're right about the nervous energy. Caleb Martin did have that fast break, as you said early in the first quarter. Max Strus was ready to show his athleticism to come up and throw down an alley-oop, and Martin sort of forced it. And I think Joe Mazzulla made that mistake of calling that timeout when they're up 9-4, and then you did the math for me. The turnaround is 21-6 for a run for Miami to end that first quarter. Because of that, it was like a road timeout where we're trying to stop the momentum of the other team, but they stopped their own momentum when you just have to let it roll. And yeah, it was a huge mistake. Caleb Martin was nervous, like we all were watching. Like you saw a lot of the Miami Heat players, but they found their bearings in that timeout, and then they shut the 3.5 quarters after that. They were down 9-4 again, and it was over. It really was over. You got Duncan Robinson doing the Hulk Hogan ear to the crowd. Duncan Robinson in the middle of the fourth quarter. Things have gone completely off the rails, big time. The defense to me was the shocking thing. Yeah, everybody's got a nervous energy. You see a lot of bricks in Game 7s throughout NBA history. But the scrappiness level of the Celtics on D was the surprising part to me. Like, we got a bad Marcus Smart game on the defensive end.
He was pretty invisible, I thought.
Yeah, and bad passes a lot of the time. That was surprising. Yeah, just getting behind screens and just allowing Caleb Martin, who found his way, and Strus, who knows how to shoot the freaking ball, and Gabe Vincent to shoot the ball. So many multiple threes, as we said, for this team. Obviously, that sort of confidence level on the road was impressive for those guys to come in and all the role players really to slam the door, led by Caleb Martin.
Hashtag heat culture?
I guess so.
Hashtag Heat culture. Yeah, I think absolutely it is.
We'll never know what the inspirational video was that Eric Spoelstra played between Game 6 and Game 7.
Ernie Johnson was trying to get it out of him, and he would not give it to him. Ernie was almost like shaking Spoelstra, like, come on, man. Let me know the video.
Come on,
I gotta
Spoelstra.
know, but he wouldn't let him.
Oh, somebody
You know,
grab the
that's
mic
secret.
and say, it's that scene from The Town. You know, that would have lit the place on fire.
That would have been very funny.
Yeah.
That or Fast X. Caleb Martin finished off a
Wow.
series for the ages. Yeah, 26 points, 10 boards, like I said, in Game 7 on the road. He scored in double figures in all 7 games. He averaged 19.3 points per game with shooting splits of 60% from the floor, 49% from 3, 88% at the line. Trey, you even said it. In Game 7, he had the answer for every little Celtics run. He slammed the door shut, and he gets 4 out of the 9 Eastern Conference Finals MVP votes. Jimmy getting the 5, Caleb getting the 4, and I couldn't believe it. Doris Burke and Tim Bontemps, they voted for Jimmy Butler. And we had talked about them, Doris texting Tim during Game 6 going, what are we doing here? What are we doing? Are we voting for Caleb Martin? Are we voting for Jimmy? And in the end, they vote for Jimmy. But there are some people upset that Caleb Martin didn't get it. You can definitely make a case. I mean, Jimmy Butler's a superstar. He missed a game in this series, had some duds, played well in Game 7. I mean, his stat line's incredible. But Caleb Martin was just incredibly consistent. 60% from the floor in a guy that wasn't even starting in this series, and then, comes off the bench for 5 of them and then starts in Game 6 and 7. Nobody would have been upset had he got that 5th vote from a Doris or a Tim. Schumann voted for Caleb Martin, as did others. But who would you have voted for, Trey, if you're in the arena there last night?
Well, Skeets, I'm a Jimmy stan.
Okay, that's fair.
He did lead the Heat in scoring for the series, and rebounding, and assists, and steals, and he was 3rd in blocks.
It's pretty good.
I mean, I don't really have an argument against Jimmy Butler, except for that he had 3 stinker games. Caleb Martin played well in those games, and guess what? The Heat lost those ones.
How about this?
I don't know.
A most improved player for the East
Yeah,
Finals.
sure, yeah. It would have been cool for Caleb Martin, absolutely, but it also is kind of like, I think it's a little bit like, Jimmy, you were the best player in the Eastern Conference playoffs.
Yeah,
Here you
that.
go.
There's
you
that.
get the bob.
Tass,
The
who
bird.
would you have voted for?
The bird and the bob.
The bird and the bob. Now,
Beantown's bird and bob back to Biscayne Bay.
holy damn!
Baller. Would you have voted for Caleb Martin? Would you have had the guts, Tass Mellis? Or would you have just taken the easy way out and given it to Jimmy?
No way. I couldn't look myself in the mirror. I wouldn't be able to eat a Bobster Broll. I think the voters got it right. They absolutely got it right. There is no Caleb Martin without Jimmy Butler. It's like the 2010 finals. Kobe didn't have an efficient finals. Pau Gasol did. Kobe had the higher shooting, higher total numbers, led the team in scoring, and all that. Had to take the shots. Again, there's no Pau without Kobe. So to me, even back then, I thought Kobe may not get this, may not deserve it, but he is the player on that team. So to me, it resembled that. It's somewhat like the 2015 finals where Iguodala got it over Steph. I mean, it's a different scenario, but the best player should get it. Even though, so why even name it? I mean, you could just pre-name it. If the team wins,
Right.
you got to give it to the guy. Caleb Martin was coming off the bench to start the series. He came along, most improved, sure. Became a starter. The efficiency incredible, but. The shots he was hitting, we briefly touched on it. The baseline, the spin in the middle, like those aren't Caleb Martin shots. Incredible stuff. The confidence level growing as this series goes on. But, yeah, I don't think there's a Caleb without a Jimmy. So you got to go MVP. for the Bob and the Bird. I will finally remember what those
That's
trophies
good.
are
I
called.
do like that. I
actually.
really like
Yeah.
that. The real power move, the real power vote would have been voting for Eric Spoelstra for Eastern Conference Finals MVP. This guy, 108 career playoff wins. He's 3 shy of tying Doc Rivers for 4th all time. Headed back to another Finals. Spoelstra and the Heat are. What'd you think of Bam's game in Game 7? 12 points, 10 boards, 7 assists, plus 22. Decent looking box score, but guy couldn't finish at all around the rim for what felt like the 3rd or 4th game in a row. He just has no touch, TK, on these like bunnies.
Why is he shooting
inside.
bunnies?
Why is he not dunking it or going harder?
That's the question,
Yeah.
man. You're right underneath
Crazy.
the hoop. You got a little guy on you, just go up and dunk. He missed one. I guess it was Derek White. Like, he had Derek White on a post-up, went nowhere, couldn't score. Then he got the ball right underneath the hoop on Derek White, went up for the bunny, dumped it off the back of the rim, and then he did try and dunk one a little bit later on, so I would continue trying to dunk that one.
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of his post-ups were not resulting in barbecue chicken by any means,
No.
but they occasionally lead out to like kick-out threes. Like, He's of course he's not afraid to move the ball. He is a good playmaker for a big guy. So the ball will get zipped out, and then he'll pick up a hockey assist here or there once it's swung around. That happened a couple times. So I like the idea of them continuing to do that. It's just wild seeing him miss these 3-foot little hook shots.
He doesn't
Time and
want
time
to
again.
score inside. He wants to create as a playmaker,
Yeah.
I do think, when he has the ball. And, 5 assists, 0 turnovers, I think is huge because Bam has had some trouble with turnovers in this series. The Celtics did a great job of packing the paint on both him and Jimmy Butler. So to put up 5-0 on the assist to turnover ratio, that's big for Miami, as was 7 offensive rebounds. The Celtics actually out-rebounded the Heat on the offensive glass, but Boston gave up more second-chance points because every time the Heat were getting an offensive rebound, it was turning into a three-pointer. That's even worse. Those are such backbreakers. 16-3 second-chance points for Miami yesterday.
Bam's game was important, though, in the end, because he had 3 fouls in the first half, didn't get one in the second half, and his D, and you talk about the hockey assists, the screen assists, the fact that his body out there is really important to create those 3-point opportunities out there on the perimeter. Very important. He did have a couple of those. Keeps the ball in the left hand, goes around Al Horford, and doesn't touch his other hand, little scoops off the backboard. Those are pretty.
Nice.
But he only had 4 makes. When you look at the final box score, you see Bam Adebayo only have 12 points. Your other dudes combine for 54, Caleb and Jimmy. Bam's the 3rd leading scorer. It's shocking when all is said and done. But he played a part out there. And, he missed that bunny. Derek White underneath the hoop. I always flash back when a big has a little underneath the hoop to the 2013 finals. The Heat are here, so this is appropriate. Tim Duncan's got Shane Battier under the hoop, Game 7, and he misses a little bunny. Even the greats, it happens too. Yeah, Bam's a finesse guy for sure.
I was looking at the wrong box score.
Were you?
Bam Adebayo had a terrible game. I'm changing my mind. 7 assists to 4 turnovers.
Okay, yeah. I said 7 assists, and then you said 5, and I was like,
then I heard
was I wrong?
Taz said 12 points. I was like, wait a second here. I'm seeing 11 points. He also didn't have a very good Game 6.
No, that's what I'm saying. He had a
Scoring
real
wise,
stretch.
yeah.
But that's the thing. He had a bad couple games here in terms of shooting the ball and not having any touch around the rim whatsoever. But I think he was contributing across the board, defensively, setting screens, moving the ball, can still bring it up at times. Like, he played well for having garbage offensive games. He's going to have to play a lot better if they're going to pull off the upset over the Denver Nuggets, which we're going to actually do our finals preview on tomorrow's show. But, yeah, he was trying his ass off. It's just weird to see him missing these things 2 feet away from the rim. He's 6'9", 6'10".
Yeah.
And you're right, to go back to your original point, go up stronger, man.
Your name's Bam.
Yeah, live up to it.
Hold on, you looked at the wrong box score. I did something way dumber earlier in this series.
Okay.
You thought that May only had like 30 days or something? Ridiculous.
I rewatched what I thought was Game 4, but it was Game 1. Like, I was watching in the morning, I was rewatching a game, and it took me like a quarter and a half that I was getting through. I'm like, well, this isn't what I watched last night. Oh, Kyle Lowry coming out in the second quarter. This is awesome. But I was literally rewatching because my phone hadn't refreshed.
Sure.
Same old cookies. So, yeah, anyways.
Did you
I was
guys watch
rewatching
Game 7 last night? Are we 100% sure?
Yeah, I'm looking here. I watched Game 7.
Okay,
Yeah.
Good. I
You know what was actually the dead giveaway to me? I was going to compliment Haywood Highsmith picking Jason Tatum's pocket.
Yep.
But then I was like, wait, how come it says Haywood Highsmith didn't play? He didn't play in Game 6. That was the change.
That was weird because he had a great Game 5, and then he comes out in Game 7. Huge pick to start that second
nice.
quarter. So, yeah, they went away from any sort of backup centerless, really, and they went smaller. Yeah, I mean, we're criticizing Bam. He's always going to be the second scorer, but when you got Caleb Martin doing that, I mean, you didn't need to shoot. You only had 10 Bam only shot 10 times. He didn't need to, really.
I thought the Miami Heat got good Kyle Lowry there last night, too, in a Game 7 on the road. End of the first quarter, he comes in. He's pushing the pace. Reggie Miller wisely pointing that out on the broadcast. He continued there in the second quarter, just off of Boston turnovers or rebounds, bringing it up the court with some speed. I mean, he's not the fastest guy in the world, but let's go. He found Martin in the corner for a three off a transition break. He followed up, Lowry did, with a deep three of his own. And then he had a sick dime to Duncan Robinson, cutting backdoor through traffic.
Lefty.
Beautiful pass. Now, of course, Lowry then turned the ball over, dribbling it off his foot on the very next possession. But overall, really good, Game 7 from him. He has his ups and downs here at his age, and that's sort of always been Lowry's thing, if we're being completely honest. We know that as Raptors fans, but him, too, he's going to have, for them to pull off this upset, and they are, heavy dogs here going into the finals against Denver, Game 1 on Thursday night, he's going to have these big moments, like these takeover quarters or stretches of quarters, where it either keeps the Heat alive when he's out there, or even extends a lead, or obviously gets back into a game. And he can do it. It's just whether or not you're going to get that for an entire series. Probably not. They'll have to. He'll have to pick his spots, or at least Spo will hope he does that. But everybody contributing for the most part. Even when we were ripping on Bam there for having no touch. Everybody that's out there, I mean, Spo is just pushing the right buttons. Like, everybody's contributing and trying their ass off because they all have to when they're playing zone defense. That's the other part, where, just the communication of, zipping around and picking up and then doubling Tatum. And they did a great thing, too. I hope Tibbs was taking notice of this game. They went at Tatum. They started putting him in action because they're like, he can't move left and right because of his ankle. So get him in the action. That's obviously what Tibbs and the Knicks really didn't do against Jimmy Butler way back in the second round of the playoffs. But that was smart coaching move from Spo as well.
Yeah, Tatum gutted it out. I thought it seemed like it was going to be a Willis Reed moment when he hit that three-pointer, but then he went for a dunk, and kind of after he came down from the dunk and had that landing with a big-time grimace, that's when Jimmy was activated. He's like, I'm going to go at him every single time. And they just did not let him off the hook, having one guy out there who you had to have out there but didn't move well enough for a Game 7 in the conference finals. Yeah,
speaking of injuries, one guy that could have saved the Celtics a little bit was Malcolm Brogdon, who was really good to start these playoffs. 2.25 rounds, and then he got injured and things went downhill. He had 19 in Game 1 in this series, then 13. Then he got that injury and had to miss a game and was scoreless in this one. And in his last 4 games in this series, 3, 4, 5, and 7, he only scored 2 points. First shot was an air ball out there with that elbow ligament injury, and just couldn't be himself. But he was really good throughout this postseason, had monstrous games for the Celtics off the bench. But they really got nothing off the bench when they inserted Derek White into the starting lineup, which they had to do in this game. Yeah, not a lot. 7 combined points from their guard wing type players, and then Robert Williams did his thing, although he was sick, I suppose. We'll
also get to on tomorrow's show the Celtics offseason, the big question mark, especially when it comes to Jaylen Brown, who had a bad series, bad Game 7. And now he's probably going to get a $295 million deal. And, whether Celtics should or should not do that, we can get into that tomorrow. But random notes from this one, anything else? I mean, you brought up Duncan Robinson mocking the Celtics faithful.
That was
what was crazier, that or him blocking Jaylen Brown's three-point attempt in isolation on the perimeter?
That was shocking.
I had to rewind it.
Yeah.
I was like, was that Duncan Robinson? That was Duncan Robinson.
How did Jaylen Brown allow that to happen? That was really strange. Yeah, ISO on the perimeter. Clean. I don't know, it was slick by Duncan Robinson going back by his right side, by Brown's right side to get that, but very surprising. Which was more surprising? Great question. And in Game 7 on the road, Duncan, who was barely playing this season, wasn't in the rotation, going to Hulk Hogan. He didn't really sell it.
No. He just say, I can't hear you.
Yeah,
hey, that crowd was lit at the start of the game. Holy crap. They were so loud at the start.
Yes.
And then Tatum injures his ankle. He gets a little quieter.
Quiet,
they had a lead, and then it dissipated. And then,
every 3 that they had, and they brought it back to 10, they were
They were going.
Really loud.
They were going nuts when Derek White was trying his best to get them back in the game. They're like, "Oh God, save us, Derek."
Scored 8
Please.
straight, and he was getting an MVP chance.
Yeah.
But 1-3 at home in this series.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
It is very
It's
crazy.
amazing. Well, these two teams, when they play each other in playoffs, it's like you don't want home court advantage.
You don't.
You lose at home. Either of these teams over the last couple of years when they play. The stats are wild. Anything else from this one?
Yeah, a couple little fashion notes. I saw Steve Aoki and some other guys sitting courtside wearing the big red boots.
Yeah. I saw that.
Didn't look like a rainy day in Boston, but I can see those being helpful in that scenario.
I think
just
it's
weird to
really,
see him show up.
really sad though. Maybe to be wearing them in general, but imagine wearing those to a game 7. You're sitting courtside. I think you look down and the guy 2 people down from you's got the same dumb
boots.
giant
Yeah,
red
be a
boots
killer,
on.
man.
Oh,
Is Steve Aoki a Celtics fan? I don't know. Let us
No
know in the
clue.
stream team.
I think he's been there. Yeah, that's all I got to say. Give him to all the lobster fishermen in Boston. All those boots.
Give them to all the lobster fishermen. I agree.
Yeah, below deck. Throw those boots on all those people. So that's great marketing.
all right.
Down in the slops.
Yeah.
In the slops
What
of
else
the
you got,
ships.
fashion-wise?
Tyler Hero was looking like a member of the New Radicals courtside. Pretty chill fit. Hoodie, black bucket hat. Good to see the bucket hat back. They showed him and said nothing about what he was wearing. I don't know who won the beef.
Him or Stan Van?
Stan Van Gundy now says nothing, and Tyler Hero is dressing pretty chill, pretty low-key. So I think they decided to squash things for the good of the NBA.
Tyler Hero, will we see him in the NBA Finals?
I mean, he's not full on doing basketball activities right now. He's cleared, but I'm doubting it.
I know this is an impossible question to answer, but do you think the Heat would be going to the NBA Finals if Tyler Hero never got injured? You know what I mean? Like, was it a blessing in disguise in terms of the minutes that unlocked for some of these guys? You know, like Gabe, even Duncan getting more minutes, maybe Caleb Martin to some extent, though, you know, a lot of that was like, okay, Love, you're not really contributing. Wait, and just even how they played, like, is there some truth to that? Possibly?
There's maybe some truth to that. The fact that at worst they're going to have one poor defender on the court, and it's usually Duncan Robinson, but like we're saying, he blocked a 3-pointer and he ripped Jaylen Brown at some point yesterday. So you can get lucky. But I think it's more that if there's any team that can stomach the loss of a 20-point per game scorer and not miss a stride, it's the Heat, who are just always ready to slot the next guy in, and they're like, sorry, you got to do it. You got to be as good as Tyler Hero was. And for whatever reason, it works for the Heat. I don't think a lot of teams...
Heat culture?
Hey, man, honestly, I'm a believer.
I know.
I can't believe it. I'm a believer. Makes me want to grow a little Eric Spoelstra beard. Just a couple of little flecks of gray on my face. Just look 20 years older for no reason. I would look 30 years old if he shaved. But he's giving something for the rest of us out
That's
there.
right. That's right.
I will say I think the best indication of Heat culture was post-game in the award celebration where Bam Adebayo said in between Game 6 and 7, Eric Spoelstra played that motivational video for us. Ernie Johnson asked him, what was the video? The discipline to not reveal what it was.
No, nothing.
That's impressive. That was obviously a message from Spoelstra. Don't you dare tell anyone what it was, because Bam didn't say it. Then Ernie asked Spoelstra twice,
yeah.
And he wouldn't reveal it. That's Heat culture at its finest.
Did you see Jimmy refusing to take the trophy from Bam? I don't want to touch that.
I loved that. That was very reminiscent of like Kobe and the Lakers 2009, I want to say, where it was like a funeral when they were going to the finals. They were so like, who gives a crap about a Western Conference Finals championship trophy? Like they were like, no, we got more business to do here. Yeah, Jimmy, he wasn't coming close to touching that thing. Bam, meanwhile, was like, yeah, let me see it. Sweet. But yes, I did notice that as well.
Those were the good years, yeah. 09, 10, and then 2010, Michael Cooper of the Lakers management accepted the trophy and said, yeah. He gave his speech, and then he said, hey, Celtics, you want us? Oh, come get us, type thing. But those were the good days when people hated the conference finals trophy, right? Like, nobody wanted to touch it. It was just sort of a thing on a table with an ugly tablecloth underneath it, and then nobody really touched it. Now everybody, like, people taking photos with it, UD
Getting weird
holding
hats.
it. It's a thing now. It's yeah.
Still an accomplishment, Tess.
Of course, it's a huge accomplishment. But it's I don't know. It's just a thing in sports and hockey as well. You just avoid it, but it looks okay.
I want to see somebody just
got
come
a
up and
ball on
knock
it.
it off the table. We don't
don't care about
this.
this.
Get out of here. So, again, the finals preview on tomorrow's podcast, but the Nuggets did open, guys, as a heavy favorite, minus 400 according to BetMGM, versus the Heat in the NBA Finals.
400 degrees Fahrenheit. Heat up those nuggets.
There you go, Heat Nugs.
That's the perfect temp.
Flip them 10 or 11 minutes in. Are you surprised by this at all? That Denver, obviously the rest they've gotten here, how they looked in their sweep versus the Lakers, the battle that the Heat and Celtics eventually went through, that Denver's favored by so much?
What were the Celtics favored by? It was a huge line. I think
Last night?
over the Heat before the series started.
Well,
That was a
ESPN
huge
Analytics
line.
said they had a 97% chance, Boston did, to win that series versus Miami. Yeah, they were
Well,
favored.
we sat here. No, it was bigger than this. So that shouldn't be the case. The Nuggets are the best team in the league. They
So
should
you
be.
think this is low?
Sure. If the Celtics were favored by more, the Heat. I guess it's a case of both scenarios. A little bit of recency bias. When the Celtics got through the Sixers 7 games, people riding the Celtics. Same here. People riding the Heat a little bit.
Yeah.
No, the Nuggets should be the heavy favorite.
Trey, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense that Denver's the heavy favorite. They've been the best team in the playoffs, but that's what makes it so interesting because the Heat have just been seeing who is considered the best team and beating them. It was the Bucks, then the Celtics, who had one of the best records in the entire league for the entire season. Now they're going for, I guess they can't knock off Philly, but now they're trying to knock off the team with the 4th best record, which is funny. It's just crazy. An 8 versus a 1, so that should be awesome. And I agree the Nuggets are the favorites. You're seeing a lot of stats going around basically saying, don't play zone against Nikola Jokic. You need a big guy who can pass.
He's the best.
He is one of those. He has destroyed zones in the NBA, and he also has destroyed Bam in the NBA. So we shall see what they try and do. It might be a little bit of a math series here. Try and make Jokic into a 2-point scorer and bomb threes if you're the Heat.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
It's definitely possible. Yaya Dubin on Twitter last night saying the last time an 8 seed made the NBA Finals, the Knicks back in the day, they got their asses kicked by the number 1 seed from the West, led by an all-time great big man on his way to his and his franchise's first title. Could that happen again here? We are talking about 99 it was when the Spurs crushed the Knicks. Tim Duncan getting his first, obviously the Spurs first as a franchise. Could that happen with Denver as Jokic and the Nuggets taking care of a number 8 seed again? Because a lot of people
you think
are
they're talking about Tim Duncan as the all-time great getting his first ring in
not
that
David
scenario.
Robinson.
Yeah.
It's a good point. I was
Tough call,
assuming
yeah.
so. I was assuming so. Anyway, we'll get into that tomorrow. We'll make our predictions, break down all the X factors, and have some fun talking about Nuggets, Heat, or yes, Heat Nuggets. Better way to say it. Fire up the oven, which tips on Thursday night. We'll also talk a little bit about the Celtics offseason as well. We got to take our first break, and when we come back, a whole bunch of news.
This classic episode of No Dunks is brought to you by Philo. In the last week, we have suffered some TV tragedies. Survivor 44, over. Succession, done for good. Barry,
Oh yeah.
never watched it,
Also done for good.
but people liked it.
Yep.
And it is also done for good. We're down to just 2 NBA teams left, 7 games remaining at the most. So your watching schedules are gonna change, which is why you need Philo. Philo has shows, movies, and live TV for just $25 a month. There are no contracts, no commitments, no hassles, no dunks, just a better way to watch TV. And Philo has an unlimited DVR for 1 year, so you can check out a bunch of random shows, then save all your favorites so you can watch them later on your own schedule. It's like you get to run your own little Waystar road coat. Philo allows for multiple profiles and multiple streams, so you never have to fight over who gets to pick what to watch. If you can't get enough TV, then there's no better way to watch. Philo has more than 70 channels, like BET, VH1, AMC, and Vice. Yup. You can watch on your phone, laptop, tablet, or TV with Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, Samsung, or Android TV. It's super easy to use and super easy to sign up. With Philo, you can start watching in seconds for less money and less hassle. Try it yourself with their free 7-day trial. Sign up today at philo.tv. That's PHILO.TV. Use promo code NODUNKS to get 50% off your first month.
All right, still here in the Classic Factory. If you're joining us live on YouTube, doing some big numbers here on a Tuesday, hit that like button and make sure you subscribe. We'll obviously be doing a show after every game of the NBA Finals and the ones where there aren't games as well. We got a couple of us heading out on the road here soon to actually be in arena for some of these games. So looking forward to that. But we got some news here. We'll start with the Philadelphia 76ers hiring Nick Nurse as their head coach. According to Woj, the Sixers and the Suns were engaged with Nurse and his agency throughout Sunday and Monday, leaving Nurse with this decision between two contending teams. Nurse's desire to coach Joel Embiid and his history with Daryl Morey played a significant part in his decision to commit to a deal with Philly. Again, that's from Woj. Surprised at all, Tass, that Nurse, let's call it, picks Philly instead of some of those other openings that were vacant jobs that were available?
Nurse likes a challenge. I don't think it's that surprising. He's got huge expectations going into season one, obviously. At the very least, you got to be a conference finalist. But the first season, when he was with the Toronto Raptors, he won a ship. So people are already mocking Joel Embiid's minutes and that he's going to look like Doc Rivers hobbling on throughout games because Nurse is going to play him 45, 46, 47 minutes a game. The way you make Nurse handle Embiid properly is you pull a Kawhi and just sit him games. You don't let him start. It was a scenario there in Toronto where Kawhi was managing his minutes. Kawhi was load managing. But as soon as he starts games, that's the problem. I think, yeah, you'll play him a ton. But I have faith in Nurse. Maybe sometime what happened in Toronto, he had somewhat of a short shelf life. 5 seasons, got under the skin of whether it was players and management. But that's his job. I think that will help here in Philadelphia to motivate.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
They need somebody who's going to call you out.
Yep.
There's no doubt about it. And Nick Nurse does that.
Yep.
He calls out his players in the press all the time, so it will be interesting to see the first time that happens with Joel Embiid. It'll be interesting to see what it's about. But I think Nurse is a pretty solid hire for the Sixers. They need somebody who has creativity on offense, which Nurse certainly does.
Mm-hmm.
The Raptors were not a talented offensive team, but they scored okay for a team that had all the same player, basically, and couldn't shoot from the outside. Now they got an MVP. Maybe they're going to be bringing back James Harden. We'll see. They got Tyrese Maxey. They got guys who can score. And he's also good at trying new things. That was one of the biggest criticisms for Doc Rivers. He wouldn't change what he was doing. He did a little bit in the Celtics series, if we're being quite honest, but Nurse is going to be throwing everything at the wall to see what will work with Philadelphia. So I think outside of the fact that Nurse is probably the biggest personality that's out there, in the coaching carousel, I can see him butting heads with Embiid, certainly. I think they will definitely be sniping at each other. That could derail a season, but otherwise, should be good.
I don't know. I think he likes butting heads in a way. Like he likes butting heads with Jimmy Butler in the past.
He's not the guy I'm concerned with. He will call people out. I don't know if Embiid wants to be called out.
How Embiid is going to take it.
Oh no. Yeah. I think Embiid has butted heads like with Jimmy Butler. Like, he wants it. I think
you think
to
he's
some degree. Yeah, I think he likes to be pushed.
It's possible
to some degree.
All the guys he butts heads with are gone.
Well, he wants Jimmy back. I think he butted heads with Jimmy in a good way. Yeah. I think Nick can be a push the buttons type of guy. They need
He's got to push the buttons. Yeah. I agree.
It
totally
does
agree.
feel like this could go really well. He could replicate what he did with Toronto, possibly. Obviously, they have a good team. They've got some question marks with Harden and all that this offseason. But yeah, could he get them to a championship level? Yeah, you could convince me. But I'm with TK2. This could go poorly bad in a hurry because of maybe a little too much friction and the way he does sort of call guys out. And there's this whole thing of like, is Nick Nurse a guy that develops players? I saw some Sixers fans saying, oh, they're pumped about that because that's what he does. And then Toronto fans saying, are you kidding me? Have you watched the Toronto Raptors the last couple of years? He has not helped develop players, any sort of bench, any of these young guys at all. That is true. But if you zoom out, he definitely had a hand in Siakam's growth, Van Vliet's growth, like OG's growth, like over the 5 to 10 year window. I mean, he was an assistant for a long time. when he was with the organization. So
Yeah, it's not going to bat 1,000 with every single
No.
young player
No.
coming out and becoming an all-star, but a lot of them have.
Right.
Malachi Flynn has not. But you
Right.
just mentioned 3 guys that have developed
Yeah.
greatly.
yeah, I'm excited to see Tyrese Maxey under, a
That's the
Nick
only
Nurse
development that matters.
Yeah,
They're going to be playing
be
all
awesome.
veterans.
Yeah, that's
be
true.
old.
Yeah, they're an old team.
We will see how it turns out. That leaves the Phoenix Suns still looking for their head coach. It sounds like it's going to be Kevin Young, I believe his name is, taking over for that job. And the Pistons and the Raptors.
Raptors just lost 2 coaches.
That's right.
Who's going to coach them?
Jordy Fernandez is the hot rumor from the Kings bench. Yeah, it would be astonishing. The Suns moving Kevin Young over into the head coaching chair. He seems to have Durant's vote of approval. That would be surprising to me. But, yeah, you'd think they want a large personality, and Ishbia would want some big signing, which seemed like it could be Nurse. But Young seems to be the favorite there.
And Bill Simmons is saying it's all but a done deal that it's going to be Young. So we'll see. Next piece of news. This is weird. The NBA has opened an investigation into longtime referee Eric Lewis involving a burner Twitter account that responded to numerous posts on league officiating and defended Lewis and other NBA referees. The account in question, which has since been deleted, was listed under a username Blair Cutliff with the handle @CutliffBlair. The most recent tweet from the account came on May 25th in response to the discovery of the account. The user of this account said, "Hey, it belongs to Mark Lewis, Eric's older brother. Sorry, bro. I was just defending your honor and the other officials."
Family parentheses older brother.
But the league is looking into this probably to find out, is that true? Was it actually Mark Lewis, or was it really Eric Lewis, the referee? And will there be repercussions? Because league rules say referees commenting on officiating publicly without authorization can face discipline. Do you care at all about this? Is this a story, really, to you?
I went back and read the Brian Colangelo and his wife burner account story, because his wife was defending Brian apparently on those tweets a lot.
Find a new slant?
I like those colors.
Collar's too big. I don't care personally. I read some of the tweets, even if they're coming from Eric Lewis's thumbs himself.
Right.
I mean, I didn't have the energy to read every single one of the tweets, but the tweets I read were basically like, Eric's doing a good job.
Come on, bro. Don't believe the narrative. Basically.
Yeah, that's about
So
it.
you don't really care if an official, if it is him saying, "Hey man, I'm trying my ass off, I'm doing a good job,
I'm
you're wrong."
referee.
And it's not like, at least from what we know, not betting on games and changing the outcomes or and all that.
I think the refs, the league should investigate, but it seems
Yeah.
like they're going to come up empty.
Okay.
I don't think there's going to be anything there.
I'm with you. As long as there's nothing nefarious, this is just very funny to me. Blair Cutliff.
That's the best part.
Sounds like a Chris Bosh fake name for a YouTube character.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if he is in violation of this rule where he can't comment on officiating publicly without authorization, like maybe he doesn't get a finals game.
Exactly. It's
Who cares?
a fine or something.
But pretty funny. Don't use your actual email address to register for a burner account would be my number one tip.
Right.
That's what happened to the Colangelos. Their phone number was used as the authentication.
You got to
Boom.
go off grid.
Yeah, totally. You got to make it a total off-grid account. It happens though. Sometimes you don't want to use your name. You come up with a name. I didn't want to be on Facebook when we started the Basketball Jones. I used Barry Fisher as a pseudonym.
I forgot about that.
And I used my man Ryan Setton's account. I used it through him. He's the one who needs to be investigated. So Barry Fisher, I've been up. Blair Cutliff, a better name.
Blair Cutliff is pretty funny.
What was Chris Bosh's used car salesman's name? I think, was it a Blair?
One of his characters was Blaine Harrington.
Yeah,
Blaine
wow.
Harrington.
But that was the
Boom.
nerd, the scholar. I don't
Was
think,
that the nerd? I don't remember what the car salesman
that wasn't
was.
the car salesman. I don't even know if he had a name, the car salesman.
That's a great point.
Yeah. Burner accounts. They've always been an issue in the NBA. We had, you said, Brian Colangelo in 2018. Kevin Durant admitted to having burner accounts in 2020, I think. And now we've got this Eric Lewis / Mark Lewis / Blair Cutliff burner account here from an official. I like it. We've got someone in a front office role. We've got a player in KD. We got a ref. I guess we need a Who else does that leave?
Coach?
Coach.
I guess,
We need a good coach.
Oh, there's a coach with a burner out there.
Ooh, which one?
I agree.
I don't know, but there's got to be one.
Yeah.
Joe Mazzulla's pretty young. I remember he accidentally left his Quizlet account active or something like that, and it had like scouting reports for the entire NBA.
Are you serious?
Yeah, he like kept his notes on this random Quizlet website when he was an assistant coach, and then he
Wow.
got bumped up to the lead job and didn't take down his Quizlet, so he could like get his scouting report on Ben Simmons.
Okay, somebody find an
wow.
account, a Twitter account that it just shares quotes from the town and screen grabs, and it's probably Joe Mazzulla's. All right, final one here. We slipped this into Sunday's show as a joke, but let's really unpack it. I got to hear TK's thoughts on this. Scottie Pippen called former Bulls teammate Michael Jordan a horrible player during an appearance on Stacey King's podcast, Give Me the Hot Sauce, on Friday. Great name for a podcast there, Stacey. Pip made the comments while talking about who is the greatest player in NBA history. Here's Pippen. Quote, I've seen Michael Jordan play before I came to the Bulls. You guys have seen him play. He was a horrible player. Pippen continued. He was horrible to play with. It was all one-on-one. He's shooting bad shots. All of a sudden, we became a team and we start winning, and everybody forgot who he was. End quote. Trey Kirby fell in love with the Chicago Bulls. Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen. Is this tearing you apart? Is this like...
No,
I don't know.
no, man.
This isn't like mom and dad getting a divorce or something. No.
My mom and dad did get
Oh,
a
geez,
divorce.
sorry. Oh, I didn't mean to.
And I knew right away I was going to be living with my mom, just like I know whose side I'm taking on this one. No offense to my dad who is listening. I'm just making jokes out here, father. I'm speaking to Steve Kirby, not to my pretend father, Michael Jordan. It's just, honestly, it's sad. It's not tearing me apart. It's just sad to see this from Scottie Pippen. Everybody knows Michael Jordan wasn't a horrible player before Scottie Pippen showed up. He was the MVP and Defensive Player of the Year in the same season. Like, he was one of the greatest players in the league, and then he definitely got better when Pippen showed up and he had more talent. But go see how many All-Star games Scottie Pippen made after Michael Jordan retired. None.
None? Wow, I thought he made one.
He made them when Jordan was retired in the middle period,
there you go. Okay.
for sure. But I think his last All-Star game was '97. So didn't even make it that last year because he was dealing with surgery stuff. But Scottie doesn't like being in Michael's shadow.
Yeah, this is the thing.
That's
He's
the biggest
he's
shadow
over
in
all
NBA
of this.
history.
Yeah.
Yep.
And like you pile on top of The Last Dance, where he feels like, he's sort of like cast aside to his impact in winning all these championships. And then you've got this weird, Michael Jordan's son is dating his
Very weird.
ex-wife.
Very, very weird.
There's that element. He's just over all this. So Scottie Pippen saying he's a horrible player, the greatest player of all time, is actually horrible. Tess.
Yeah, this is vengeful stuff. He's angry.
Yeah.
It's not accurate. I mean, even in the depictions of Michael that he okayed himself in The Last Dance, he became a player that was more team-oriented as the years went on, and that's how he won. If Scottie was massaged his words, he could be saying that as well. He was more of an isolation guy, but horrible player, horrible to play with. We just said there's no Caleb Martin without Jimmy Butler. I mean, there's, here's another example. Unfortunately, Scottie's not seen clear-eyed, I don't think, in this instance.
Will Michael Jordan respond at all to this?
Not a chance.
Nah.
I don't think.
I sort of don't think so either.
I don't either. If he's like, people are on my side on this one. I'll let Scottie cook himself.
Like a second Last Dance documentary to show that Pippen was a bad player? Create a whole other doc?
He wrote a whole book.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so, I mean, he probably wants to do a documentary.
Yeah.
Would be my guess.
Yeah, Pip. All right, let's hear your thoughts on this. Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan beef? Can we call it that? I don't know. Scottie Pippen's just fed up, as I tried to say off the top of the show. Let's get to Tweet of the Night.
Tweet of the night. Wow.
Twitter.
Oh, Tweet of the Night. Lots to sort through. Twitter was on fire. I do apologize if this word I'm about to say makes you feel a little queasy, but this tweet comes from Buttcrack Sports. Listen, when Buttcrack throws out a good tweet, I laugh.
Okay.
Jaylen Brown on tonight's performance. Quote, don't let us win game 8. I liked it.
It's good. That's good.
That's good. Buttcrack does some good things. They're featured on Onion and that type of thing. So, again, apologies if you don't like that word. Just a simple one.
Apologies if you don't like the word Buttcrack.
Yeah.
Honestly, this room is the only time of day that I'm not hearing the word butt crack constantly.
Interesting.
Oh, kids are saying it all the time?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, Ada will walk up the stairs, see me for the first time of the day. What's up, cheeks? Which is cool.
I like that.
What's up, cheeks? Sometimes sweet cheeks, sometimes stink cheeks. You never know.
When we left the Classic Factory on Sunday, you and I drive the same way, at least the first part.
Yeah.
In the neighborhood here. Did you see the butt crack? There was like a plumber dude reaching into his truck. You were right behind me, so I thought you were going to see it. I should have honked and slowed down. Like, check out this ass. The straight plumber butt crack leaning into the back seat. Should have gave him a little
He was an
honk.
actual plumber?
I believe so. In a plumber truck.
Oh, man, I'm sad I missed it.
I just thought of it when you said butt crack.
That word does not make me queasy. It gives me life.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I hope that doesn't upset you. I say a lot worse than that on this show. All right, great tweet. There's some great, poor sports guy Bill Simmons flying to Game 7 in Boston, going to see the game with his dad, and they got the reaction shot. He's looking as sad and depressed as Kendall Roy in Succession. Bunch of sad Celtics fans. It'd be tough, You come back from 3 down, you got home court advantage, and you get sort of just waxed in the second half. That had the fourth quarter of this game was weird. Like, I had no notes.
Yeah.
After pages of notes for the first 3 quarters, I'm like, I don't have any notes. They just can't come back. And the Heat just continuing to play in rhythm, finding shots, and it just sort of the lead ballooned to the point where Mazzulla took out his guys and Spo's like, let's keep our guys in for a little bit more. And that was it.
Yeah, especially the way this
ending.
series went.
Yeah.
And people cheering for history on one side and Miami booking a flight directly to Denver. That's the other story coming out of this. Like they wouldn't have been able to find a way to find the charter back home. Anyway, that tweet, there was some good ones out there. I did avoid the Succession tweet. I had one in the bank.
Yeah.
I had a discussion with JD. It's 3 days after too soon.
Yeah, well, I got to watch the spoilers.
I guess it's, that's like 36 hours even. That's a little too short, I would say. But you haven't watched it, right, Trey?
We watched it after Game 7 last night.
He's all
It was a quick.
Summertime. No, it's not quick.
No, that wasn't quick.
Yeah.
The game was sort of quick in a way.
True.
The game was really quick.
Yep.
To the point where the TNT broadcast, I thought they were having to fill time with the whole, conference ceremony and all that because it was still before 11 o'clock, the top of the hour. Of course, they go into the inside and all that, but yeah, they were taking their time because it was this thing was over in a hurry.
2 hours and 10 minutes.
Yeah, see?
What? That's amazing.
Wow, that was fast.
Yeah.
Whoa. It's like a couple perfect games.
Game
out there
6
on the
you said
mound.
it was 35 minutes longer, whatever it was.
Yeah, it was 2:40.
Yeah, that's long.
It was it's regular.
That second half.
Yeah, the second half was super long. You guys will discuss this while I'm traveling to Denver tomorrow. But the Jaylen Brown Max situation, this little tease here.
Oh, I thought you were here for the show tomorrow morning.
No, sir.
Ooh.
I shared in the Slacks.
Yeah.
It was maybe that was from Barry Fisher and you didn't read it. Anyway, NBA University tweeted this about Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown regular season, 197 turnovers, 232 assists. Jaylen Brown postseason, 58 turnovers, 63 assists. That's who he is. Unreal shot maker, elite in transition, but the turnovers. Supermax? You guys will talk about it tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I think that's interesting.
Good tease.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think we had a joke going around our WhatsApp group chat that this guy's got to get dribble up the system. He's got to tighten up his handle.
He's got to.
I mean,
We say it season after season.
He had a. That's right. Because I was about to say he did have a hand injury. I mean, did that come into play here? But we saw this pre-hand injury last year. I mean, this is the same story where he has these he has a very loose handle. It's not tight. He needs to add that to his game to go to the next level. I mean, he takes that out. All these 3, 4, 5 turnover games. Then he's even more of an elite player. He's already an all-NBA player, and he's going to get paid. And I think the Celtics have really no choice but to give it to him, and then go from there. I mean, it's not like you wouldn't be able to trade him. It's not like you're we're locked in forever on Tatum and Brown. No, you continue to give this a go. They go to the conference finals every year. They're always one of the best
Yes.
teams. I mean, they don't have a title. That sucks. But yeah, I don't think he's going anywhere. We'll get
No.
into it tomorrow. Okay, so what's your prediction, by the way, for the finals?
Oh,
Let's hear it.
well, the Nuggets are winning this thing.
Okay.
It does feel weird that everybody's picking the Nuggets in 5. That seems to be the hottest one, but that's the one.
Okay.
Nuggets in 5.
Cass says Denver in 5. We'll break it down in detail. TK and I here from the Classic Factory tomorrow. Tass is off to Denver for games 1 and 2. You'll be headed to Miami for games 3 and 4. So we'll have you covered with someone on the scene. Looking forward to that. NBA Finals preview, 10 a.m. Eastern here in the Classic Factory. Hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. And if you're a podcast listener, leave your boys a 5-star rating and review. Till tomorrow, Clipper Bros.
You heard it here first. Have a great time. Turn up. Love you guys. Awesome.
Thanks for joining us. And remember, be sure to check out all our coverage on social media throughout the NBA Finals. We're going to have lots of fun. And you'll see a backdrop, I do believe, which you'll remember, you'll flash back to, because the hotel you guys stayed at in Houston for Final Four looks a lot like the hotel I'm going to be staying at in Denver. So it's not the exact same hotel, but it looks a lot like it. Can't wait to talk about it soon.
Grace the day,
Cool
people.
tease.
What a tease.